Hello everyone. Today our group will discuss about the Solomon Island. But before that, I will introduce a little bit about the Solomon Island. The Solomon Islands are a sovereign state consisting of 6 major islands and over 900 smaller islands in Oceania lying to the east of Papua New Guinea and the northwest of Vanuatu. Now, the country takes its name from the Solomon Island archipelago, which is a collection of Melanesian islands that also includes the North Solomon Island.
Solomon Islanders have a million things about their history and cultural background. There are about 70,000 people living in its capital city, Honiara, including Melanesian, Polynesian, Micronesian, Chinese, and Europeans. Although the modern life does exist there, but most islanders still live in rural villages with a traditional lifestyle. The official language of Solomon Islands is English. However, most locals speak Pidgin or Pidgin English as their common language. If we talk about cultural attributes, Solomon Islanders hold these two things, custom and wantok. Custom and wantok deals with kinship and clan ties. Custom represent the idea of culture or traditional ways of doing things, meanwhile wantok means one talk. It is the system which the society is organized by their fellow clans. If we talk about religion in Solomon Islands, according to Solomon Island history, due to the influences of Europeans throughout the Solomon Island, Christianity is the predominant faith in the country. More than 95% of the population follows some sort of Christianity, including South Seas Evangelists and Catholics.
Living and art. The Polynesian body art in the form of tattoos and piercing is common. Scarification and cicatrice decoration were practiced but now uncommon, except for shell lines on face. Tattoos are the most ornate and largest among the Polynesians. Both male and female are tattooed, but women's tattoos are the largest. They also have a special design for the chief and his family as a sign of social status. Solomon Island is known for its finely made, intricately designed handcrafts, beautiful traditional style carvings, baskets, and jewelry. In Solomon, Makira Ulawa province is one of the most isolated. There are Makira Island, Santa Ana Island, Santa Catalina Island, and Three Sister Island that have a beautiful art and craft.
Food and receipt diet. A large proportion of the food is grown in family gardens or wild food from the forest. Staples include cassava, sweet potato, taro, and yam. Leafy greens and fruit is abundant supply, and women cook food over open fires or in stone or earth ovens. Mealtime. Village breakfast may consist of the leftovers from last night's meal, and the main meal is generally after sunset. And families tend to sit together, and traditionally grace is said before eating.
So let's talk about the brief of Solomon Islands politics. Solomon Islands is constitutional monarchy with Queen Elizabeth II as a head of state and represented by a Governor General who must be a citizen of country. The Governor General is elected by Parliament. The Prime Minister is also elected by Parliament, and the Prime Minister chooses the other members of the cabinet who are collectively responsible to the House of Assembly, and the cabinet is vested with executive power. The Governor General appoints the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court on the advice of the Prime Minister and leader of the opposition.
Politics of Solomon Islands takes place within the framework of a parliamentary representative democratic constitutional monarchy. The head of state and queen of Solomon Island is Elizabeth II, and the Governor General of Solomon Island is David Funaji, and the Prime Minister of Solomon Island is Manasseh Sogavare. The next is legislative branch. Solomon Islands have a multi-party system with numerous parties in which no one party often have a chance of gaining power alone.
The first post-independence government was elected in August 1980. Prime Minister Peter Kenny Lorea was head of government until September 1981. when he was successed by Solomon Mamaloni as the result of a relinquishment within the Parliamentary Coalition. Following the November 1984, Ezekiel Alepua following shift within the Parliamentary Coalition. The next election, held in early 1989, returned Solomon Mamaloni as Prime Minister. Francis Billy was elected Prime Minister following the national election in June 1993 and had the government until November 1994, when 4 cabinet ministers were eligible bribed by a foreign logging company to shift their parliamentary loyalties and bring Solomon Mamaloni back to power. The national election of 6 August 1997 resulted in Bartolomeu Ulufa Alu election as Prime Minister, heading a coalition government which christened itself the Solomon Island Alliance for Change. In June 2000, an insurrection mounted by militants from the island of Malaita resulted in the brief detention of Ulufa Alu and his subsequent forced resignation.
Background: the scene of some of World War Beatles fighting the South Pacific archipelago of the Solomon Islands gained independence from the United Kingdom in 1976 and became parliamentary democracy. In 2003, after years of ongoing economic destructive ethnic violence in the island, and Australian LED multinational force and government institution. Manasseh Sugufere was re-elected Prime Minister in 2019, having served previously as Prime Minister from 2014 to 2017.
Okay, hello everyone. For those who don't know me, it's me April, and let me begin by explaining the economic of the Solomon Island. So, over the past 5 years, the economic of the Solomon Island registered slow growth from 2016 to 2019 before contracting in 2020 and recovering in 2021. Economic freedom has fluctuated over that period, but always at the very low level. And since the pandemic has occurred in the world, especially spread in the Solomon Island, the Solomon Island government's response to the pandemic ranked in 160 among the countries included in this index in terms of its GDP. So the economy contracting by 4.3% in 2020.
Markets. The Solomon Islands has 6 preferential trade agreements in force. The trade-weighted average tariff rate is 82%. Economic dynamism and development remain stratified by serious deficiencies in the trade and investment regime. Private sector development is also undercut by the state's outsized role in the economy. The financial sector is underdeveloped and limited access to the credit constraints entrepreneurial development. Primary production accounts for about 70% of GDP, including large-scale joint ventures with foreign enterprise for export-oriented production of copra, timber, fish, palm oil, and cocoa. Copra is the major source of income for smallholders. Producer price of copra are set by the Commodity Export Marketing Board to mitigate the effects of fluctuations in export price of growers' income and ensure the maintenance of production incentive as well as the financial viability of the support operation. Industry is based on the processing of primary commodities, including a fish cannery and sawmills, but represents only 5% of the GDP. Major elements of the service sector are the government administration, marine transportation, which is a vital communication link throughout the country, and the trading sector. The economy is highly open and price, which are essentially marks determined, are strongly influenced by the cost of important goods, which in the formal sector are determined through collective bargaining, generally on the basis of the annual negotiation. Disputes are subject to arbitration. Relatively large wage settlements in the public and the private sectors reflects the scarcity of skilled labor and effective trade union representation.
Okay, in economic sectors, cash crops, important cash crops and exports include copra and palm oil. Gold. In 1998, gold production began at the gold ridge on Guadalcanal. Fishing exploitation of Solomon Island is rich fishers offer the best prospect for further export and domestic economic expansion. Tourism in 2007, Solomon Island was one of the least frequently visited countries. Foreign aid in Solomon Island is started in 2001. Principal aid donors are Australia, 247 million per year, and 2006 New Zealand in 14 million per year.